Imagine a world where the horizon is lined with neon, and the sound of the future isn't a digital hum, but the rhythmic pulse of an overhead valve V8. Picture this. It is a warm Friday night in 1957, and a shimmering streak of onyx black and polished aluminum glides under the streetlights of Main Street. With its sharp tail fins and aggressive twin wind-split hood ornaments, it looks less like a car and more like a rocket ship tethered to the asphalt. It was meant to be a simple family sedan, yet it became the definitive icon of an entire American century. But how did a mass-produced Chevy become the most sought-after collector car in history? This is the story of the 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air. The mid-1950s represented a fever pitch in the American automotive industry. The post-war economic boom had created a consumer class hungry for status, speed, and style. By 1956, the Big Three, General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler, were locked in a fierce horsepower race and a styling war. Chevrolet, traditionally seen as the value brand of the GM hierarchy, was undergoing a radical transformation under the leadership of General Manager Ed Cole and legendary design chief Harley Earl. The challenge was significant. Ford had beaten Chevrolet in sales in 1954, a rare blow to GM's pride. The mission for the 1957 model year was to create a car that looked more expensive than it was, offering Cadillac-level prestige to the average working-class family. This vehicle needed to solve the problem of brand fatigue. It had to feel like a new era of engineering. Chief engineer Ed Cole pushed for a revolutionary new engine, while designer Claire McKitchen worked under Harley Earl to refine the Tri-5 design language, referring to the 1955, 1956, and 1957 models. The goal was a baby Cadillac. When the 1957 Bel Air finally rolled off the assembly lines in September 1956, it carried the weight of GM's market dominance on its chrome-plated shoulders. It was a pivotal moment where industrial manufacturing met high-art aspirations, changing the landscape of the American driveway forever. Technically, the 1957 Bel Air was a masterpiece of mid-century packaging. While the frame was largely carried over from the 1955 and 1956 models, the 1957 version introduced innovations that set it leagues apart from the competition. At the heart of its success was this Super Turbofire V8. This 283 cubic inch small block engine was a marvel of efficiency and power. In its most advanced configuration, equipped with Rochester Ramjet continuous fuel injection, it produced 283 horsepower. This achieved the legendary milestone of 1 horsepower per cubic inch, a feat previously thought impossible for a low-price production car. Visually, the Bel Air was unmistakable. It featured a massive wide-mouth grille that integrated the bumper and the air intake into a single, shimmering unit. The distinctive gold anodized aluminum trim on the rear quarter panels and the V badges on the hood and trunk signaled that this wasn't the base model 150 or 210 series. This was the top-of-the-line Bel Air. The interior was equally lavish, featuring fashion-patterned nylon upholstery and a distinctive fan-style instrument cluster that looked like it belonged in a jet cockpit. When it hit the showrooms, the reception was electric. Though it was priced starting at around $2,200 for the 4-door sedan, it felt like a luxury vessel. It wasn't just the specs that drew people in, it was the cultural versatility. The Bel Air was the car of choice for suburban parents, but it was also a monster on the drag strip. Because the small block V8 was so lightweight and tunable, the 57 Chevy became the ultimate canvas for the emerging hot rod culture. On the NASCAR circuit, the 1957 Chevy earned the nickname the Black Widow. These specially tuned, fuel-injected 150 series sedans dominated the track, forcing competitors like the Ford Fairlane and the Plymouth Belvedere to scramble for answers. By the end of the production year, Chevrolet had produced approximately 1.5 million cars across all series, with the Bel Air trim accounting for over 700,000 units. It wasn't just a market success, it was a cultural takeover. The Bel Air was seen everywhere, from the parking lots of drive-in diners to the winner's circles of the world's most prestigious speedways. By the summer of 1957, the Bel Air was at the peak of its powers. It was the quintessential symbol of the great American way. But beneath the chrome and the vibrant Larkspur blue paint, trouble was brewing. Ironically, While the 1957 Chevrolet is remembered today as the winner of that era, it actually lost the sales crown to Ford that year for the first time since 1935. Ford's 1957 models featured a longer, lower chassis that made the Chevy look somewhat upright and dated to contemporary buyers. Technically, the Bel Air had its share of growing pains. The revolutionary Rochester fuel injection system, while brilliant in theory, was a mechanical nightmare for the average dealership mechanic. It was temperamental, difficult to tune, and often prone to vapor lock in hot weather. Many frustrated owners eventually swapped the high-tech fuel injection for a standard 4-barrel carburetor just to keep the car running reliably. Furthermore, the 1957 model year was plagued by quality control issues. In the rush to meet demand, some cars left the factory with misaligned body panels and chrome trim that would begin to pit and rust within just a few years. The massive amount of bright work, the very thing that made the car famous, became a liability in states that used road salt, leading to fender disappearances as the metal dissolved behind the chrome. But the greatest threat came from within General Motors itself. Designers were already looking toward 1958, a year that would see a complete radical redesign. The 1958 Chevrolets would be longer, wider, and much heavier, abandoning the crisp, balanced lines of the 57 for a more bloated, ornate look. As the 1950s drew to a close, the industry began to shift toward planned obsolescence, a strategy championed by Harley Earl. This meant the 1957 Bel Air was destined to be replaced almost as soon as it reached perfection. Competition also intensified from Chrysler's forward-look designs. The 1957 Plymouth, with its massive tail fins and torsionaire suspension, made the Chevy feel like a relic of the early 50s. Critics at the time began to wonder if Chevrolet had reached its ceiling. The Chrome Dream machine was suddenly facing a world that was moving toward the space-age 1960s, leaving the 1957 model caught between two eras. The production of the 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air officially ended in the autumn of 1957. It was replaced by the 1958 Impala, which took over as the flagship model. For a few years, the 57 was just another used car, often sold for a pittance to teenagers who wanted a cheap V8 to race on back roads. However, unlike its peers, the 1957 Bel Air refused to fade away. By the late 1960s, a wave of nostalgia began to sweep across America. Car enthusiasts realized that the 1957 Chevy represented the absolute pinnacle of a specific design philosophy, a perfect balance of size, power, and ornamentation. It became the face of the classic car movement. Today, it is estimated that tens of thousands of these vehicles survive, thanks to a massive aftermarket industry that produces every single nut, bolt, and body panel needed to build a brand new 1957 Chevy from scratch. The industry learned that style could be just as powerful a selling point as utility. The Bel Air proved that a mass-market car could have a soul. In modern auctions, a pristine, fuel-injected 1957 Bel Air convertible can fetch well over $150,000, a staggering leap from its original $2,600 price tag. It remains the most recognizable silhouette in automotive history, a testament to a time when steel was heavy, gas was cheap, and the American dream had tailfins. It didn't just drive people to work, it drove them to imagine a brighter, shinier future. The 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air was more than just a combination of glass and steel. It was a high-water mark for American industrial design. It reminds us that even in a world of mass production, something truly special can emerge when engineering and art collide. If you remember seeing these chrome giants on the road, or if you've ever dreamed of owning one, leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the machines that shaped our world.